Picture this: you kill someone. You killing that person was not intentional, it was an accident. But it doesn't matter. You killed the person and you ran away from the crime scene. A year later, you are invited to be on a jury for a murder case. And that murder case turns out to be the murder of the person you killed. So you're on the jury of a case where an innocent man is being tried for a murder that you committed. What position does that put you in? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I don't mean to be a downer because I am sure the way I started this video, it could make you feel a kind of way, because me even saying it made me feel a kind of way about it. But honestly, that was how I felt while watching this film. This film is titled Juror number 2. The plot of the film is what I said earlier. The man commits a crime. A year later, he's invited to be on a jury, accusing a different man for committing the murder he committed. That is the plot of this film. I remember seeing the trailer of this film, and the trailer they showed the main plot of the film, and I was like, why would you show an important information like that in the trailer? Because I felt like it was something that would be like a big reveal. Maybe that is my own small mind thinking of a story, because what I was thinking of how this story would be, the actual story is much more better than what I was thinking in my head. So that was why I was like, this thing could be like a big twist at the end. But in like the first 20 minutes, this thing I was thinking would be a significant twist in the film was something that was addressed in the first minutes of the film. So it was like very surprising. When I saw that, I was like, whoa, if you've done something that could have made the story so much better in the first few minutes, it can only go high from here. And that was how it felt. That was how the story went. It went high from that moment on. If you know me, you know my favorite kind of movies are dramas. I think I've said that so many times on my channel. I love dramas. They excite me so much. I would rather see a dramatic film where people are just talking and using words to just highlight some grave situations or grave circumstances. I like this kind of films more than I like action films, because there's something about dramas that is just so raw, so realistic, so enthralling. And that is why I love drama so much. And watching this film just reminded me why I love dramas. The most part of this film takes place in a courtroom, and the story of it was so entertaining. One thing I noticed in this film was the courtroom scene. It was shorter than I was expecting, because I thought this film would mostly be about the courtroom sequences. But then the courtroom scene concluded quickly, and I was like, wait, is that it? Then we'll proceed to the jurors making their decision, and that is where our main character is one of the jurors, juror number 2, making the decision whether to kill this person or to set him free. And while this whole thing was happening, when the juror started contemplating on whether to sentence this man guilty or innocent, when it started happening, it reminded me of 12 Angry Men. Like, I didn't expect to draw that parallel at all, but it reminded me of 12 Angry Men. Why? Was because there are some things that happened in this film that were similar to things that happened in 12 Angry Men. If you've seen 12 Angry Men and you've seen this film, I'm sure you will agree with me that there are some things that were very similar in this film. One of the things that made me think about this film at 12 Angry Men was, one, 12 people deciding the fate of this man. That is what this film is about, and that's what 12 Angry Men is. And that is like the one on the surface, the most obvious comparison between them. But it goes deeper than that, because on like 3 different occasions, some characters said something. Let me see if I can remember what some of the characters said.
Lawyer didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was innocent.
Well, he doesn't have to. The burden of proof is on the prosecution.
So the character said that, and I was like, I heard this exact same line in 12 Angry Men.
Oh, I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof's on the prosecution.
And I was like, are they trying to do like a modern recreation of 12 Angry Men? So when all those things was happening, I was a bit skeptical. Then I heard another line of dialogue where someone said something about 2020 vision.
Well, this old bird has 20/20 vision with my glasses.
I've heard this line too in 12 Angry Men.
I've never worn my glasses. 2020.
Then there was another situation where a character dropped something on the table in a dramatic way. Something like that also happened in 12 Angry Men. So at this point, I was just feeling like, are these people trying to recreate 12 Angry Men? But then the story just kept on progressing, and it started taking on a life of its own. And it started feeling like something much different and something much bigger. And when all those things just started happening, it just made me realize, oh, this film is a thing of its own. This is not trying to coast on the greatness of one particular movie. It is his own thing. This story is a very simple story, basically. A man is on trial, and the jury is to decide whether he's guilty or he's not guilty. Simple. That's what the story is about. But there are some side plots that are happening with the lawyers that are involved in this case, and the mental toll that it takes on them, feeling like this person that have spent this whole time accusing of this murder, what if he's actually innocent of this crime? Seeing all those parts playing out, and the jurors also deciding, trying to figure out, okay, could this guy actually be innocent? Seeing all those side quests and side elements playing out was something that added another level of intrigue to this story. Plus, this guy, the main character, his wife is pregnant, his wife is about to give birth while he's on this trial. And all those elements, just like I said, added so much to the storytelling and made it more deeper than it was and so much more exciting. So that was something that made this very, very simple story to feel so exciting and intriguing. And this film gets very, very tense and suspenseful. There's some moments where this main character says some things and is in some situations that you just feel like shit could just go south in this situation. So all those moments makes you so tense and so panicked, because as long as this movie has been proceeding, you've cared about this guy, you've been on his side, you've been watching him, and you see that he's not a bad person. He's just someone that finds himself in a shitty situation. And just seeing how he navigates this thing was just something that was so anxiety inducing and made you just feel like, God, this tension can kill me. And that's something I really liked about this film. Like, some of the films I love the most are films that don't even need bold or big action sequences or big set pieces. It's just character studies or characters having mental turmoil and just being in a state of panic and confusion and just drama. And it's just what this film gave me that I loved so much. The story was a very, very simple story that was well written and well directed. The cinematography of this film was like not overly complicated. The cinematographer and the director, they knew that this is a simple story that they want to tell. So they told it in a way that focuses on the story. They don't use any kind of cinematography that distracts you from the story. Like everything you see, the direction, the cinematography, it aids the story. It makes you go into the story and doesn't distract you from anything and makes you feel all the tension and all the suspense and all the drama that is just happening with this film. And that is just a kind of an ingenuity that I really respect with the making of this film. Speaking of the director and the making of this film, the director of this film is Clint Eastwood. And after I finished watching this film, I checked Clint Eastwood's age. And I saw that this man is 94 years old. Let's say this film, Max, it was directed when he was like 90 years old. To think that a 90-year-old man could have the mental prowess and capability to shoot a film that is this profound, it is so amazing to me. A 90-year-old man, mind blowing, and it's another thing that made me respect the filmmaking and the art of this film. I mentioned how the writing of this film is very good. I think one thing that highlights the greatness of the writing is the characters, because the characters are interesting characters. They are all different people. Of course, they are different people of different walks of life that come to be the jurors of this case. Different people, and all of them, they feel like their own characters. Some of these characters are of the same race, but from the way they talk and from the way they address situations, you can tell that these characters, although they are of similar races, they don't have the same backgrounds, they don't have the same upbringing from the way they talk and the way they think about this case. So something that makes those characters much more distinct, interesting, and realistic to watch. And those characters, the writing of the characters was something that was done very, very well. Another thing with the characters that I liked was the fact that you could see that some of these characters, they were having their personal prejudice affect their decisions on this case. For instance, there was a character in this film that was affected by something. I don't want to give it away. He was a juror on this case, and because of that thing that has affected him in the past, it was something that was making him make a kind of decision about the whole case. And if you think about that, that is not what should happen. Don't bring your personal prejudice into it. Let it be something that is based on the fact of the matter, of the facts that have been presented to you in the court. But when you see some of the characters just being influenced or making their decisions based on their own personal prejudice, it was something that made these characters feel much more realistic. Because honestly, anybody in that situation, there is no way you're not going to think about it with the situation of the case. And just doing all that is going to fuck with your decision making. And that is just what makes us human. And seeing those elements imbibed in some of these characters was something that made this film and the characters feel very, very human and realistic. Another thing about some of those characters was the fact that they wanted to get back to their lives, because for some of these characters it was a no-brainer, like this person is guilty, let's vote this thing and end this deliberation. That was how it was for some of these characters. But when this deliberation just progresses and goes on for days, it just makes some of the characters get frustrated and start affecting their decision making. And when all those things were happening, it just made me think about the flaws of a jury-based trial. Because a jury-based trial is something that if you're looking at from the outside, it actually makes a lot of sense. But this film just makes you see that sometimes jury-based trials are not actually the best things. Because in this case, the actual criminal was on the jury. The actual criminal was in the jury. So whatever I was doing, that case was already tampered with. Not just him, people that were in a hurry to get back to their life. That's already fucking up with the case and their decision making. People that have personal prejudice with this situation, that too is also fucking up with this situation that is supposed to be so pure without bias or without prejudice. It's already fucking up with all these things. So it just made me see the flaws of this kind of situation and the toll it even takes on the people involved. And it was just something that this film painted in a way that I have not seen before. And I felt so enlightened watching this film and seeing how all these things were playing out. There's so many things that happened in this film that were just so thought provoking and just made this film so good. Another thing that this film did that resonated with me the most was the way the story was told, in the sense that it makes you wonder what you would do if you're in that situation. Because all these characters that are involved in this thing, they are not painted as good or bad people. They are all morally ambiguous characters. They are characters that have good sides and they have bad sides. Even the guy that is on trial, although he has a very shady background, you can see that this guy is accused for something he did not do. So that even makes you feel a kind of sympathy towards the guy. But then you now think, if I was in that situation, what would I do? If I have a wife that's about to give birth in a few days or few weeks, and my life is just about to start officially with a new child, would I sacrifice myself because I don't want this innocent man to go to jail for something that I did? What would I do? Would I go to jail? What would I do about my family? And it was another thing with this film that just made it so profound and enthralling to watch. Seeing all those elements that came together with this film made this film a very brilliant film. For the score in this film, it was very subtle. Sometimes you won't even hear any music, but there is music playing. It's very subtle. And when I really noticed the music was at the end of this film, when the credits started rolling. The vibe I got from the score is like the director was trying to tell you that I know what you just saw, something that was very dark. And I don't want to judge you. And I don't want you to judge the characters. I just want you to watch this film and see how this thing would be if it happened in real life and if it happened to you. Just picture how it would be. And that was how the score felt like. The score felt like it was telling that story. Like, ah, it could be me reading too much meaning into this film, but I don't think that is the case, because if you see this film too, I'm sure you'll be able to draw some of these parallels that I'm drawing, because it was done so well. And speaking of the ending was another thing that just man made this film much better, because the ending is a very ambiguous ending, and my favorite endings are the endings that are ambiguous, endings that makes you think what is going to happen next, how is this thing going to happen next. You have an idea of what is going to happen next, but you still ponder on the situations, what is coming next. And that was what this ending did. It just left it very open-ended and made you start thinking what comes next. Like, it's just so brilliant, so wonderful. Like, this film was something I didn't expect to be as good as it was. I can't talk about this film without talking about the performances, because this kind of film, they don't need much. All they need is a good story, a visionary director, fantastic music on some occasions, and brilliant actors, and this film ticked all those boxes. The actors' performances were out of this world, especially the main character, the juror number two himself, played by Nicholas Hoult. His performance was kind of subtle, restrained, guilt ridden. Like you could see all these things. You could see that this guy is hiding something. Like he plays it so subtly, and you just feel like there's a lot of turmoil and frustration that is going on in this guy's mind. I think the best word to describe his performance in this film is subtle, because there are some films where characters have to be extra, they have to be loud. None of those performances aren't good. Those performances are good. You enjoy those loud characters, but sometimes there are some more subtle performances. Some kind of performances that is not anything extravagant. It's not anything bold or big. It's just something so simple, and it makes those performances stand out more. And that was how the performance of Nicholas Hoult was in this film. Very subtle but deeply, deeply powerful performance. Yo, this film was I've been talking so much. I didn't even think I was going to talk this much about this film. But man, that was just how good this film was. I know I'm praising only Nicholas Hoult in this film, but truthfully, it's not just his performance in this film that is good. It's just that his own performance stands out the most amongst all the other actors. And there are some very, very good performances in this film. I could honestly keep talking about this film because that was how much I enjoyed it. Honestly, everything that came together to work with this film was spot on, brilliant, and well executed. And if you've not seen this film, you should really check it out. You should really, really check it out. Especially if you like dramas like me. Because I know it's not everyone that likes dramas. If you don't like dramas, you might not like this film. But I don't know anybody that doesn't like this film. I will really, really question your taste in movies, because this film is almost like a perfect movie. It's not necessarily a perfect movie, but it comes very, very close to being a perfect movie. And honestly, I wish I had not made my top 10 movies of the year video, because this one could have easily been number 1, 2, or 3 on that list, because that was just how good it was, and that was how much I enjoyed this film. So if you've not seen this film, do yourself a favor. Do yourself the biggest favor of this year. This year is about to end. Do yourself the favor that will make you end this year on a very, very special note. Go check out Juror number 2. You will love it. And if you don't love it, that's your problem. So, have you seen Juror number 2? What do you think about it? Comment below and let me know. And bonus question: what is your favorite genre of movies? Action, comedy, dramas, thrillers, horror? Which one? Drop it in the comments and let's talk. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Cheers.